From a secret location in room 100 of 540 Jack Gibbs Boulevard, this is Craft. I'm your host, Doug Dangler. Singer-songwriter Jeff Black will appear with Six String Concerts on Friday, June 3rd. His website, where he invites you to subscribe and get blacklisted, is at www.jeffblack.com. He's released 12 albums, including 2020's A Walk in the Sun. Welcome to Craft, Jeff Black.
Hello, Doug. Good morning.
Morning. So tell me about your upcoming show. What's on your schedule for that show at the Six String Concerts on June 3rd?
June 3rd. I'm trying to think how many times I've played six string. I think 4 times since maybe 2006. And it's just 5 stars. I love coming to Columbus. I love coming up there to play. And I've got some new songs I'm going to preview for the new album that's coming up. I'm writing.
Okay.
Somewhere in this house is little journals full of all kinds of verses and things. So I've just been walking around the house and playing songs. But I'll tell you what, during the pandemic and everything, I'm not great at rehearsing by myself. And that's the hardest thing, I think. So it's, once you write a song, you have to learn it. So that's what I've been doing. I've been walking around the house learning songs.
Mm-hmm. Does your family enjoy the participatory element in that, where they, if they're home or something, they get to hear that song as you work through it over and over? Is that something that goes over well?
Well, it used to be when I was a kid, I would always play during the commercials, and we'd all be in the house, and mom and dad and my sister, and I would every time a commercial would come on, I'd start plunking on the guitar and drive everybody completely crazy. Mm-hmm. Right now, my kids are at school, and so and they're home for the summer, but they're not here right now. And music's always been around the house, so they're no stranger to random songs and just playing chord progressions and just music everywhere. It was kind of a funny thing when I was a kid. My dad played a little tenor banjo, and my uncle I played guitar, and my grandma played piano in church and all that. And but when I was growing up, there was really no music in the house. Nobody was performing music in the house. My sister would always order records from Reader's Digest, and mom had the radio on top of the refrigerator. And then my dad would tell me stories about that when they played when he was younger. And I wondered, how come we didn't have any music in the house? My brother got a guitar. He's about 5 years older than I am. And then I started messing around with that guitar a little bit. And then I finally talked mom and dad into buying me a guitar. And then from there, I just never looked back. And then as it progressed, I don't know that too much has changed. I think everybody, I've been doing it for so long now, I think they sort of expect it. It's pretty rare if you walk in and I don't have the mandolin or the guitar or even the banjo. Mm-hmm. Plunking around the house. So yeah, I'm a noise maker from way back.
So that must have come in handy when during the pandemic, I think you're working on your 2020 album, A Walk in the Sun. Is that, did that sort of, it sounds like the pandemic and being home and not performing and not traveling might have actually been playing into your strengths as a songwriter to be more or less alone playing the music and developing it that way. Whereas I wondered whether that was something that you would do in a group or something like that, because releasing an album in 2020 was, a difficult thing to do, it seems like to me.
Well, we started tracking A Walk in the Sun in 2018. And I had to have some back surgery. It was just genetics. And it was some pretty rock and roll back surgery. And so before I did that, we went up to Dave Rowe's studio just north of Nashville and tracked most of it. And then I had some things that I'd worked on at home here too. So to answer your question, it was it was some wonderful time to reflect on what was going on in life, you know, because that can be kind of crazy too. And um, having those tracks to work with, and I've got a small setup at home here where I can edit and do vocals and just work on music in general. And so I found it to be it was a strange time at first. I really enjoyed being at home for a little while, and then after that, I was really jumping to get back out, you know. And after I had recovered from surgery and all of that, I was really jumping into 2019. We were mixing, and I was still writing for the record. And I think one of the last shows I played at Folk Alliance down in New Orleans and came home. And then after that, it got to be February or March, and everybody knows what happened then. So, so there you are with all your resources. And I had discovered that I could really take some serious time thinking about what I wanted to put together as a little collection. Because I don't know I don't know if I'm Generation Jones or a boomer or an Xer. I'm not really sure, but I did find myself going back to the album format, and I think it's something that I've kind of always done. I've always enjoyed albums. I've enjoyed the idea of a common thread through a collection of songs, and I think it enabled me to kind of be here in the moment, because there wasn't much else you could do. I wish I could say, you know, that I wrote a novel and a play and 2 or 3 records, but I think I got stuck, like a lot of folks maybe, where I just kind of kept waiting to see what was going to happen. And then that waiting turned into, I'm not sure. I think we're still waiting just a little bit, but
Yeah, I can. Yeah,
I mean, we're still in this strange. We're kind of in a little limbo period, but I think you know, after, you know, getting vaccinated and boosted and all that stuff, I felt a little easier going about it. After New Orleans, I was home. I mean, it was before testing. I don't know if I had it or not, but if I didn't, I'd really be surprised. And then after January last year, I came home and had the Omicron. And so I've had it maybe twice, once for sure.
Well, that's you're being overly productive there to have had it twice. That's really you know, you're working hard for.
And I know I'm still being really careful, you know.
Yeah.
And it's still it was just everywhere, and I don't know.
Yeah.
And I really don't know too many folks that haven't.
I'm not sure whether I have or not, but you know, I'm sort of a hermit to begin with, so you know, this plays to my strengths.
I know, isn't that funny? I discovered, I think maybe I'm more of an introvert than I thought I was before. So I kind of have a weird job.
Yeah.
To be that way, you know. I like being at home. I love to go. I hate to be gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. The minute you get there, you're like, oh, this is a cool vacation, but I wish I were at home with the people around me that I want to be around, stuff like that. So I have my other question is, you've been described as a roots Americana performer, and I'm wondering, what does that mean for you when somebody or even you to yourself say, I'm a roots Americana performer? What is that categorization mean? Because it seems to be in some ways a catch-all. You know.
Yeah, it is. I think it is a catch-all. I think that when I started playing music when I was just a lad, I felt like it was country music, you know. I didn't think about it being folk music, because my definition of that when I was younger was much different. And then as I came along and started learning about writing, and you know, I discovered Woody Guthrie through a friend, and then my brother was in the Marine Corps, and he brought home record collection from Okinawa, a lot of imports over there, and he brought home all the Texas singer-songwriters, and Guy Clark and Townes Van Zandt, Jerry Jeff Walker, all those records. And when I discovered that, there's a great poet out of Texas that has some pieces on Jerry Jeff's record called A Man Must Carry On, and Charles Quatreau. And he said, there's a line in one of his poems that says, it's the kind of country music that doesn't hurt. And I love the idea of telling the story. And I love the idea of kind of going down a little bit wider road. I think Americana Roots becoming a catch-all it's convenient, I think. On a lot of records, I've made a lot of noise. We've turned it up pretty loud. And then I've made a record with just acoustic guitar and vocals. So it's kind of run the gamut of what you feel, because I always feel like a song just needs to carry the story, or the music needs to carry the story. And so I've never felt confined, by a genre, as it were, because I feel like I don't really like the idea of being pinned into that. And I'm sure it's cost me millions of dollars, but but I sleep good at night.
Okay. All right. Well, there's always that trade-off, if you're not going to be a member of a boy band, you got to have integrity in other ways, right?
Well, too, yeah, that, and that, living in Nashville, it's Music City. There's, you just throw a rock and you hit a songwriter, and there's a lot of folks that have made wonderful livings just writing songs, and they don't tour and they don't perform that much, except for maybe local clubs of the Bluebird or something like that in town. And then there's the rest of us that came to town, around the late 80s, early 90s. I moved to Nashville in 1989, and it was a much different time. And it was a time when there was this short little period of time where once in a while you would hear Steve Earle or Lyle Lovett or Nancy Griffith on the radio. Even there was a local station out of Kansas City, St. Joseph, Missouri was the first time that I'd heard those folks on the radio. And it did inspire me to come to town. And I had a little luck in the 90s there with some folks recording some songs. A country group, Black Hawk, recorded a couple tunes. We had a #1 with one. And then all of a sudden, after that, I got a record deal. And so they were doing Airs to Austin, and my friend Cameron Randall, we started visiting about making an album. And then they closed the label about 6 months later. And then after that, I went independent. I licensed some records to Dual Tone, and then I went independent with my own imprint. Being a songwriter here, working in the Americana Roots arena, is much different. There's quite a number of us that came down here, and we still live in Nashville, but we don't necessarily operate in the air quotes music industry here. It's a great location to be, especially for touring, and there's not too many places you can't get to, within a day. And so I'm not exactly sure if I've answered your question.
No, it makes sense. I mean, I think that your answer points towards my feelings about Roots Americana, in that it is a large genre that has a lot of flexibility to it, but it doesn't fit neatly within the categories of other genres. I think, there's usually guitar, there's usually a singer songwriter behind that guitar, things like that. And but yeah, no, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't it doesn't bother me. I don't think about it that much. I've always kind of thought after I kind of started going down the road with it of being more of a folk singer and a singer songwriter, more singer songwriter probably than anything else. But you know, roots music it's everywhere, you know, and I love to write a nice blues song or something like that. I'd like to take it wherever the muse might, you know, whenever that door opens, you want to jump through it, you know, before it gets lost.
Yeah. All right. And that is a great way to tell people that on June 3rd, you will be here going through that door and taking us with you to enjoy Roots and Americana with the 6-string concert series. So
I love coming up there and play.
yeah,
Everybody. Oh gosh, Kim and Tony and all those guys, Bobby and everybody that that heads up that, and the volunteers and staff. It's just 5 stars, and I really love to come up and play.
yeah, it is a great concert series.
And they've been so supportive of artists, you know, all through the pandemic. And they didn't go away. They really stayed strong. And so many venues and things did have to close down. And it's really unfortunate, but there are some new ones opening, and some people are revisiting the idea of reopening. So that makes me very, very happy.
That sounds great. Well, Jeff Black, thank you very much for talking to me today. And all the information about your concerts will be on crafttheshow.com, or folks can go to jeffblack.com and get blacklisted, which made me laugh when I read that. So
well, it's actually a good thing. It's kind of the non-corporate GoFundMe kind of thing that we started a long time ago. And I think this might be the 5th or 6th record. The next 2 that are coming up, I'm going to do an anthology of all the releases, and then I'm working on songs for a new record. So I'm going to try to get those out in the fall. And it's a way that people can be part of the record and help me curate these next 2 releases. So yeah, come to the website and check it out. It's pretty cool. It's a great little community of, I like to think of all those folks as my friends and visionaries, for sure, because they love to live in the future.
Excellent. All right. Thank you very much, Jeff Black.
Yeah, man. Thanks, Doug.